Hey folks, David Stewart here. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday. It is a rainy day where I'm at here in the Gulf Coast, out here in Texas. So, hope you guys are having a great day. Newest book is called Afterglow, Generation Y. It says Memories Adrift on the back. You're listening to the album Memories Adrift, which you can get on Bandcamp. So, yeah, go ahead and grab Afterglow if you haven't. People are enjoying it. You've probably actually heard most of it already as audiobooks on the channels, which means that you could review it on Amazon if you so choose to do so. And if you enjoyed those stories, I would encourage you to do that and to pick up this. There's also some new content in here as well. People have been asking me to assemble all of these into a collection, so that's what it is. Afterglow, Generation Y. These are a lot of nostalgic stories and a lot of stories that really have to do with what it felt like to be my generation, more than, I guess, what it felt like to be, just in general in the society. Because everybody's going to have a different, I guess, experience depending on what generation they're in. Millennials have a very different experience from Gen Y. And the reason for that has to do with when we were born and what changed while we were born. So for Gen Y, we were born really before the internet. And our childhood existed before people really had a lot of internet access. So just to put that in perspective, like for us to have internet, we'd have to use like a dial-up modem, which would just take forever to load anything. There was no social media. The closest kind of thing you had on the internet was something like ICQ or like AOL Instant Messenger. That was our as teenagers, that was the best thing we had, and as kids, there was no internet. Closest thing you may have had is if you had a dad who like worked in business, he might have had a modem and like a big computer at home to do certain things. There were analog modems were around. Those were a thing. They were kind of interesting. I'll get to the chat in a second about the site. So anyway, check that collection out. It has a lot of that stuff. Another one to read is Eyes on the Walls, which I don't have a copy of sitting around to show you, but it was free for a little bit at the end of October there, or in the middle of November here, so that people could read it. That's another Gen Y book. And the reason I like to talk about that one is really that Eyes on the Walls, you're able to have horror when you don't have the internet, right? So there's no way to verify a fact because you can't just look it up. There's no way to get in contact with people because people don't have cell phones. If somebody doesn't show up to an event, you just kind of have to live with the mystery of why they didn't show up. Like, where's Billy? He said he would meet us here at 6 and he's not here. We're just going to have to live with the mystery of where Billy went. We don't know where he went, but maybe we'll see him at school on Monday. That was our childhood in a big way. So Eyes on the Walls captures a lot of that with a horror story. And the horror of childhood isolation. Just as a child, there was very little, it was very easy to be isolated as a child. Who on earth is calling me? Someone from California. Nope. All right. I think I asked you a question about Warren magic in Malazan. You mentioned it has this religious undertone to it. How does Steven Erikson achieve this? Basically, the Warrens are like the realms of the gods, the various gods. And the various gods, so the Warren is like their realm, and there's magic that flows out of that. So if you are in tune with the deity of that Warren, then you can use the magic, and you can even travel within their realm. So there's moving through Warrens. You can move through. Some Warrens are more dangerous than others, or like completely inhospitable. There's ones that are completely just like ice. There's ones that are darkness. There's ones that are shadow. That's the one that Shadow Throne lives in, who is the former Malazan emperor. And the gods are really taking an active role. The greater, it's kind of like the Odyssey, the greater conflict is about the gods. Someone asked, how can you make a site like mine? My sites are basically built on WordPress. So you can build a WordPress site. You can even do it for free on WordPress.com. I use custom domains and my own It's my own web page that's hosted away from WordPress, so they can't ban me for wrongthink or something like that. There's not really an advantage to using WordPress's domains themselves. Same thing with Blogspot, because they can ban you, whereas it's a lot harder to ban somebody off a private page, especially with an ISP that just doesn't really seem to care about what people post, which is my ISP. So yeah, I just built it with WordPress. It's very easy. There's many tutorials online that'll teach you how to set it up. I haven't. There is some custom coding in my website, but it's not. It's like CSS, like cascading style sheets, which is really easy to figure out. So you can find people that'll tell you exactly what code you need to use to set it up. And the reason is, like, for DVS Press, just as an example. I use a format that has like regular indents in it because I post a lot of fiction. I like it to look like a book and be really easy to read. So it has a gray background that's kind of neutral. It'll look good on any screen. I use a serif font. I think it's Georgia. That looks good on screens. And I don't use sans serif because that's harder to read quickly. Whereas serif, every letter is really easy to identify. So you always want to have the interior of your books in a serif font, never sans serif. If you're using sans serif for the interior of your book, for like your main words and stuff, you can use it for headings, obviously, but like for your actual body text, if you're using a serif font, that's a big red flag to me that you don't know what you're doing as a publisher. And I've had some actual published books, usually textbooks that are full of sans serif because textbooks are often very unprofessionally made, believe it or not. The professional like formatting that goes into a textbook is often very bad because you can make people buy it for $80 and there's no need to have quality actually with a textbook. People are forced to buy it in order to complete a course. So yeah, why would you worry about making the interior easy to read? So always use a serif font. Here, I'll show you my webpage. Let me see if I can get this set up here. Give me a second. All right, so here you go. Here's what DVS Press looks like. Okay, so a couple things. Notice I have indents, slight indent. That's done with the CSS, right? It's in regular paragraphs. I think it's Georgia. Georgia looks really good on screens, in my opinion. So that's what I use. I use Georgia, and because it's WordPress, it has a bunch of automatic integrations, including Amazon. So you can just click this, and you can click the free preview, and without even leaving my page, you can go and you can look at the first pages of the book. Look at that. You can go through and read the first pages of the book. How awesome! Okay, so that's really, really, really useful. It's all built on WordPress. The theme that I use, I think, is Nirvana. Nirvana. It has just a lot of customizability options. It looks really nice and clean and squared away. And then you can make pages. I need to update this actually because this doesn't have half my books on it now. I haven't updated it since like last year, so it's just missing a bunch of books. It's only got like 10 or 12. There's like 3 more books I've written. Did I put I did put that in there. That's good. I put Alexander's book in there. Okay, good. So anyway, that's my site. Hey, my daughter screams. All right. So let's talk about a couple of topics. I know we've addressed that. I'm glad you like Eyes in the Walls, Red Barchetta. So first topic today, before I'll probably play some Final Fantasy or something like that. So first topic today really it's on the blog, so I'll go ahead and link it on the blog here so you guys can read it. Materialism and consciousness. So this is kind of a weird topic, and I call it the materialist inversion of solipsism. So Scott Adams posted the other day, and I'll just show it to you guys. Actually, let me put a camera in here since my camera disappeared out of this scene. Here we go. Here I am. All right. So Scott Adams had this post. Humanity's biggest is right around the corner. That's when we realize free will has always been an illusion and consciousness is nothing but a prediction and feedback loop. Brain science, AI, and robotics will annihilate our superstitions about who or what we are. So there's a lot to unpack about this tweet. I've been following Scott Adams for at least 2 decades at this point, right? So he's operating on a set of what I call philosophically materialist assumptions. So the belief philosophically in materialism is that the material is the only thing that's real. That there's no anti-material things. There's no demons or gods. There's no soul, right? That like your consciousness, your mind is something which arises from your physicality. And so right away we're left with the basic unit of knowing things is your consciousness, right? You can't know anything without being conscious to know things. But that presents a challenge for materialists because we don't understand where it comes from or how it works. Indeed, scientists may understand how neurons work, and this is a big mistake that Scott Adams is actually making here, is that he understands, brain science knows the way neurons work. We even know that certain parts of the brain seem to operate certain parts of the body, but we don't know how the brain as a holistic object works. We don't know how the soul uses the brain, or we don't know how consciousness arises from the physical object called a brain. Sorry, we're not there. It's too complex. Even a worm, which has like 300 neurons, we're not even sure how those 300 neurons work in concert to make the worm do things. So it's very mysterious. Brain science is as far as like if there's some deeper knowledge for the brain science is still very much on the edge of things. We've come a long way, but we haven't figured out how the brain generates consciousness, if it does at all. But underpinning that, of course, is the materialist assumption that what exists is material. If it can't be verified materially, then it must not exist. So you have a problem with consciousness, which is that that you're conscious, that you're alive, that you have a mind, you think thoughts, you think about things, you interact with things and consider them. So if all of that is an illusion, then there's nothing to be like the entire thing is self-defeating. It's like writing an essay on why words are meaningless. So if you write an essay on why words are meaningless, what exactly are you doing? You can't write you can't write an essay about how words are meaningless using words, because that's using a medium that means that the words have meaning. So it's the same thing. Like I read an article, I think it was like a couple years ago. Some people like oohing and ahhing over the scholar of the article in a medical journal, I think, about how consciousness was just like a set of behaviors that we think is real, but it's not. I'm like, the fact that you were able to write an article is evidence of consciousness itself, right? Like a chemical process doesn't produce an essay. And that's really the point that he's making is like, I thought of this on my own, that my thoughts don't exist and they're not real and it's all an illusion. And we're just a set of incidental events happening one after the other as the result of previous events. That, of course, there's no free will. That's the next part of it. Scott Adams, I've known for a long time, doesn't really believe in free will. He almost arrives at a compatibilist position, which is that, there's several different compatibilist beliefs about free will. One is that, everything is basically preordained, but you as an individual don't have knowledge of that, and so you act as if your will is free. So there's no perceptible difference between having free will and not having free will, because nobody can actually predict the future, even if it's set in stone and it's completely part of like an incidental chain of things. That's important. So Scott Adams has had this for a long time. There's a belief with AI, which is computers that do things, kind of synthesize previously created information put out on the internet. I've done AI art on the channel before, which really just mashes up previous images. It goes and searches images and mashes them up and creates a new looking thing out of old stuff. That is somehow evidence that the mind is like a computer. This is a thing that you get with like in cyberpunk and all of the transhumanists. They have this belief that the mind can somehow be transferred out of the body. That's what they really want. They want immortality in this world. And we actually, as Christians, we believe we will have immortality, not only in in a spiritual sense, but we will have bodies during the resurrection. This is something that is often overlooked about Christian theology, is that God did not create a human with a body for no purpose, like to have a soul that then escapes from the body. No, the body is us as well as our soul. So in the resurrection, yes, we'll have a body. We'll be body and soul just as we are now, but in a more permanent and everlasting sense, free of all the consequences and the death of sin and things like that. Anyway, not to get off on a theological tangent, but my religious belief is one where the body is not a meaningless object. But with transhumanism, it's like we're going to take the mind and put it in a computer, and this partly is a I guess a misstep of analogies, like thinking that the brain is like a computer and thinking that your mind is like a computer. This is all materialist thought. The brain is like a computer, and therefore your mind inhabits a computer, and therefore we could transfer your consciousness into a computer if only we can make a computer powerful enough and complex enough to emulate a brain. Well, we really don't know how the brain works, so we're not sure how our mind uses the brain to do things, to think, to act, all those sorts of things. We know the brain is important for thinking. Brian Niemeyer points out the false binary that there's either perfect free will or no free will. This is stuff that theologians have been dealing with for many, many centuries, and there's different conclusions about that. But it is one of those things that if you fall into this binary, it's really a binary of the mind and the body too, a binary of material and immaterial, which is that we're not just material beings, and we're not just immaterial beings. That's Gnosticism, that we're like a soul trapped in a fallen physical world that's bad. That's not correct. That's not theologically correct. But anyway, you end up with a really absurd conclusion, which is that consciousness doesn't exist because we can't physically verify it. We can't touch consciousness. We can't touch the mind. But our senses know that minds exist because we perceive other people saying things and doing things and acting in ways that we can't predict. So does a mind exist? Well, if your mind doesn't exist, then you really can't say anything else exists, because it's your mind which has the very concept of existing to begin with. So one of the first thing that a child is aware of is the self. I exist. And then the next thing is that other people exist. And then the development of theory of mind is that other people exist and they have minds which are not mine. They have their own thoughts, their own wills, their own desires, their own way of doing things that are different from mine. And I have to think about what other people want. Other people may want things that are different from me. That's like basic development of the theory of mind. And as Brian Niemeyer says, conflating unpredictable with free, right? Those aren't necessarily the same things. And we also use free in different purposes in Christianity as well, because freeing oneself from sin, being free in Christ, often means submission to God's will. How do those things jive? Because we have this modern Western view of free, which is just doing whatever you want with license and executing your will in an absolute sense. Well, we tend to view sin as something which imprisons you. You become a slave to sin. If you've ever known an addict or an alcoholic, they're a slave to the drug. They can't stop using the drug or any kind of sinful habit, things like that. You are a slave to that thing, and then God will free you from that slavery and allow you to actually execute your will in a more perfect fashion by not having to succumb to things like addiction or sinful habits, things like that. So when we talk about being free in Christ, that's really what we're talking about. Anyway, I've read a lot of articles that come to this conclusion that consciousness is an illusion. They really base it on nothing, but it starts with a materialist assumption that that the only thing which exists is the material body. There's a real problem with that. It's kind of like Gnostic horseshoe theory. On one side, it's like the consciousness doesn't exist because we can't verify it. What I call that inversion of solipsism. Solipsism is like the only thing I can know is real is me, because everything else I'm seeing through sensory data that may or may not be true, but I know that my thoughts are true because of course they are. That's the only thing that you can. This is the opposite side. Even you can't be externally verified, therefore you don't exist. There's also a problem with that, which is, what are you, right? Your mind, if it arises from the physical body, is merely a temporary state of chemical interactions. You don't exist. right? You don't exist. Your body exists, but you as a person don't exist. That's the real ends of taking a material view of the world all the way to its proper conclusions, which is that really there is no you, because your consciousness is just something that is a temporary chemical state. When it dies, it disappears forever, and it never really existed because you couldn't put your hands on it. It'd be like saying, does vinegar and baking soda exist? It's reducing the human experience down to chemicals being mixed together, to putting vinegar and baking soda in a bottle and shaking it up, and when it's done having its reactions, that's the end, right? There was no thing in that reaction. It was just an action, a set of actions, a temporary process. And there's a real danger of that, because if humans don't exist, then it's very easy to do really horrible things that we know are horrible, like kill them, right? If humans aren't even conscious, then there really ought to be no problem with killing people, because they don't exist anyway, and their consciousness disappears when they die. Pain and pleasure really have no definite meaning. We've basically created a misanthropic hellscape by denying the possibility that there's more to the world than the material. And you know that there's likely more to the world than the material because you have a mind and you use it and you exist and you think thoughts and you interact with other people who have minds and think thoughts. And none of these things can be touched directly. None of these things are something which can be materially understood, but rather we understand them through our senses, through the material world. So yeah, the material is not unimportant. There are many things that affect the material. And in fact, you can affect the spiritual world with material. In Christian belief, we have the sacraments, and the sacraments confer spiritual things through physical action. And in the Eucharist and communion, all of these things have really deep religious meaning. So anyway, I thought I would talk about that first of all, because that's a big one, and someone asked me to talk about it on a live stream. I think it's an important topic, and it's something we need to think about, because in our secular society, we are raised with a materialist mindset. We're raised to believe that all there is the material, and the spiritual is some sort of woo-woo over there that doesn't really affect anything and doesn't have an impact. But really, if you're starting with the mind, that's not a very tenable conclusion to have. But it's very pervasive, and it's really hard to escape the materialist mindset and thinking that everything is reducible to some set of physical interactions, rather than being something that is, beyond that. In fact, the whole idea of consciousness and free will is that being able to make a choice. That's really where, like, in Christian theology, where sin comes from, is that in order for a person to have free will, they have to be able to choose even the wrong things. Anyway, there's a whole lot of extra stuff with that. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about. So anyway, there's that. Brian Niemeyer makes some good points, and I'll end with those. There's a false binary that people either have perfect will or free will. That's not a correct binary belief. And then conflating unpredictable with free. That, like, if you can act unpredictably, you have free will, versus you can make choices. You always have a limited set of choices. Like, I can't choose to be in the NBA, right? That's not a choice that's available to me. But you always have some availability of choices. And enhancing someone's freedom really means giving them additional choices. So when we say freedom in Christ, really mean freedom from the bondage of sin, which reduces your choice and harms your ability to act with intention and will. Those are important thoughts to consider. So the next thing I want to talk about is games. So there's a new World of Warcraft expansion. I actually re-upped to, basically play with friends. We do this like every expansion. There's a content cycle that goes with World of Warcraft. And the content cycle is as follows. You get very hyped about a new expansion coming out. And then you spend the first month playing that expansion and being excited about it because it's new. And then you spend 2 years complaining about Blizzard and World of Warcraft. So how can you break out of that cycle if you're someone who likes to play any MMO or any online game? Not just World of Warcraft, but World of Warcraft is the best example. Well, you have to decide where your exit point is. how much of this game do you want to play? World of Warcraft is set up because they want you to play the game forever, like indefinitely. Never unsubscribe. They even gave people who had subscribed for 10 years, this is now a long time ago, they sent every person who'd been subscribed since the beginning this like $1,000 statue as like a thank you. And it's like, wow. You know, I remember the first time I actually unsubscribed from World of Warcraft is because I felt like I was bored. I was just like, man, I just don't want to do this content anymore. I'm not interested in it. It's not worth my $15. And that was the first time I ever felt that way. That like somehow WoW wasn't worth my $15. So you have to decide where your exit point is. You know, yeah, you could play the new expansion, and then when it gets to a point where like you have to grind to keep going, just turn it off. I did that with Shadowlands, right? My friends wanted to play. We played for a while. Then I got to a point where I realized I was doing something I hated every week because it was mandatory to try to do things which I liked better, which was raiding, right? I had to do this awful thing called Torghast, and I had to do it like every week, and I had to do all these dailies, you know, to get my gear up so that I could do a raid. And it's like, no, like 90% of the game now is things that aren't enjoyable. I don't need to spend hours every week doing things which aren't fun to spend a couple hours a week doing things which are fun. No, I'm going to unsubscribe. And then, of course, you may end up with that point with raiding, where like you clear the raid and then you're doing the hardest mode, and it becomes frustrating and you're not making progress. Maybe it's time to quit. You know, we often don't think of that. And this is the thing that I like about Final Fantasy XIV, which is that it's really gives you lots of exit points. There's a main story. Lots of people just play through the story and then like unsub. You know, play through the story, you know, do the easy mode of the final raid or whatever, and then they turn it off. And when there's new content, they come back. And the developers not only seem to know that that's the case, but seem to approve of it. Like, that's okay. That's the way that we assume people are going to work. People can unsubscribe if they're not wanting to do the, what is it, Savage Raids, or the the hardest version of the game, and play other games, and that's good and healthy. Like, that's a much better attitude versus what Blizzard has tried to stick with for almost 20 years at this point, which is that everybody should be subscribed all the time forever, and no one should ever unsubscribe from our game. And if anybody's unsubscribing from our game, it's a bad thing. We're gonna lose everything. So anyway, yeah, that's the content cycle on YouTube for World of Warcraft. Get hyped, there's a new expansion coming out, and everyone's like, yeah. And then it comes out, and about a month or two in, then it's 2 years of complaining about Blizzard. Okay, we get it. Blizzard actually doesn't really make good games. They haven't made great games in a long time. The game maybe will hold your interest for a couple months, and then it's probably time for it to take a backseat and to do something else with your time, and that is okay. What is my favorite genre of game? My favorite genre of game is probably an RPG. And if I'm thinking about it, I'd probably say it's actually Western RPG. I love JRPGs as well. But I really like Western RPGs, specifically things like Morrowind, Elder Scrolls games, and, games like they use the D20 systems, kind of like Dragon Age Origins or KOTOR. Those tend to be the ones that really remain with me. And the reason is I like the gameplay a lot. I like managing systems to overcome challenges rather than simply clicking buttons in the right order. There's nothing wrong with that. I like action games too. I like Dark Souls. And I like Demon Souls, and I like... what was this one I played? Oh, Final Fantasy Origin. This was a kind of a Souls-like Final Fantasy experience. So much fun. That game was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it if you want to pick it up. Tons of fun. I love games like that, but I like games where I manage systems to overcome challenges a little bit more. And Western RPGs tend to be pretty systems heavy in that regard. So I really enjoy those, and I enjoy exploring, and I also enjoy stories. So I like RPGs that have a strong story associated with them. That's probably why I think Final Fantasy IV is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. It just has the best story. It just has a great story to it. The gameplay's really good, and so the gameplay will lead you through. The gameplay and the story are kind of melded too, where like you change classes based on your character's growth, based on Cecil's growth. So it's an enjoyable story. You can play through it and just enjoy the story, and you can enjoy the challenges of the game at the same time. That's really why I think that game holds up so well. And to compare to Final Fantasy VII, which I'll play in a minute. Final Fantasy VII, just the gameplay is not very interesting by comparison. It's just not. The challenges, it's a little bit too easy maybe sometimes. The challenges aren't quite as interesting, and frankly, the story is good, but it's not as good as Final Fantasy IV. The story really drags in the middle. I think after Aerith dies, I think she dies at the end of Disc 1. I'm trying to remember when she dies. Of course, I'm playing it on the Vita, so there's no Disc 1, 2, 3. But, after that, it just really drags out. That middle section until you get to like the very end. It just starts to really drag in Final Fantasy VII. That's the case with a lot of games, though. So, but yeah, probably Western RPGs. Do you think you like RPGs because you have an affinity for writing as well? Yes, totally. I played WoW for nearly 17 years. At this point, the game is pay to win in many respects, and not the game I liked. Game development peaked with Wrath and maybe even Legion, for me anyway. I thought Legion was actually a really weak expansion, personally. It was really easy, and that was the main thing, is that Legion is when we crossed over. There was basically this barrier. People weren't aware of it with Warlords of Draenor because everybody spent time in their garrison. But in Legion, the world aspect became so easy that the feeling of MMO was really lost with Legion. You were going out and doing stuff in the world, but nothing was a danger to you. You just never died playing the game at all. It was just such an easy leveling experience. It was such an easy experience doing things in the world that it became really boring. I played it in beta, and they even nerfed it after beta. So like, at that point, I'm like, I'm gonna say no to this game. It's just too easy. And the fact is that it's pretty easy now too. But I like to play a game with my friends for a little while, and that's probably what I'll do. Play this until I'm bored in a few weeks, and then I'll do something else again. I played a lot of games this year though that I've enjoyed, including Cyberpunk, which has like a terrible world and worldview, but is actually a pretty fun game in terms of gameplay. Would 4 make the best remake? We've remade Final Fantasy IV several times. So 4 has more remakes than any version of Final Fantasies that I'm aware of. There's been graphical remasters and remakes. There's the Pixel remaster. There was also a 3D remake for the 3D, not for the 3DS, just for the DS, the original DS, which you can also play on PC and Vita and some other platforms. And I think even on a phone. If you're talking like a full-scale remake, I don't know. I think it'd be fun if it got the Final Fantasy Origin treatment. If you had Team Ninja make a remake of Final Fantasy IV with those characters, I bet it would be really cool. But it wouldn't be quite the same. The gameplay of Final Fantasy IV is good. The zones in Legion were palpably small. They'd been small for years, but folks didn't notice until after Warlords of Draenor, yeah. Warlords of Draenor had so much potential that they just kind of flushed down the toilet. People didn't realize how good it was because they were stuck in their garrison. They didn't realize how good the world was. It's like the art team made this beautiful world that no one existed in because it was suboptimal to be in the world. This is the problem with power games. If it's suboptimal to go into the world, then you have a problem. And that was Warlords of Draenor. The most optimal thing was to queue for dungeons in your little garrison, and then to only go out into the world when you needed to do what was the Mythic Dungeons, when they introduced Mythic Dungeons. That was like the only time I was like, I don't even know where these dungeons are at. Where are they? Well, I gotta find them. Gotta go find them on the map. So Bradford makes a good point. Yeah. The story was a peak in Legion, but the systems we've had since then are the reason I quit and never go back. Yeah, they're getting rid of the borrowed power. So there's no like artifact weapon you have to charge up. It's gonna be a lot more alt-friendly, supposedly, for Dragonflight, which is good. But those were the systems. That's a big turnoff for Legion too. Is like, I have this weapon that I have to just power up. Like, why not just give me another? It's just another XP bar. They just gave you another XP bar that you can never run out of, so that the grind never ends. It's really when you're aware of the design, it's a really cheap design, and not very fun. Yeah, Mythic Dungeons and Warlords of Draenor. That's the only time I like walked out of my little garrison. Would you consider doing a roguelike game? Risk of Rain 2 is really fun. The music's killer. I liked roguelikes. I liked Rogue Legacy. I tend to get bored of them rather quickly, though. That's just how it is. Once you kind of get a feel for everything that's there, then I get bored and turn it off. I feel like a one-man army in Legion, and miss the silver elites were like proper mini-bosses. That's true. I think in Miss of Pandaria was like the last time the world was an actually dangerous place in any capacity. And like in Warlords of Draenor, the world was fairly easy. There were some dangerous things in the world, but for the most part, no. By the time you got to Legion, it was just so easy. Thank you, Brian. The will is an intellectual appetite whose object is perfect knowledge. Since only perfect knowledge can determine the intellect, your will is free unless you know everything. Oh, that's interesting. The will is an intellectual appetite whose object is perfect knowledge. Since only perfect knowledge can determine the intellect, your will is free unless you know everything. And if you know everything, at that point, will becomes kind of a non sequitur. It just doesn't, or not non sequitur, it just doesn't matter that much. Because you can act optimally at all times. WoD also made it optimal to raid log. You could come on to raid, do mythic dungeons, or work your garrison table, and then left for the week. Not only that, eventually they added in like a little companion app that would let you send your guys on missions. It's like, man, that was like half of WoD was like logging in on all the alts to do all the missions. I made like millions of gold just doing missions on the little guys, logging in like 10 minutes a day. All right, let's go ahead and play a little bit. I think there was something else. Oh, I watched Home Alone. I watched Home Alone last night. It's an interesting movie to go back to. Is Home Alone. Home Alone has like lots of zany slapstick comedy. It definitely remains a fairly funny movie as far as things go. And I'm aware of certain like film techniques in it that probably wouldn't be used today. And the heart of the story is, if you guys ever watch it and if you ever read Save the Cat, you're gonna get the idea of like the Save the Cat family movie theme there, which is very much about like set up an interpersonal conflict, give the kid what he wants, the kid realizes it's not what he wants, and then you go back to the way things were, and it's good to be a kid again. You know, that's like the setup for that. Pretty interesting movie overall, I would say. Definitely worth another watch if you haven't watched it in a while. The kid, the kid's upset with his family because his family treats him bad, but he's also super disrespectful and not really good to his family. So it just shows the conflict. He wishes his family away because he's a child. He doesn't realize that it doesn't work that way. Then he realizes he loves his family, and then he gets his family back. So from the child's perspective, it's like, I wished away my family, and then I wished them back, and they came back. After I had realized how important they were to me, after I took this thing away, I realized it was important. So that's kind of the heart of it. And then you have a secondary character. You have the neighbor in kind of this Dark Night of the Soul moment. They have him literally go to church, right? So the Dark Night of the Soul is one of these moments in screenwriting, if you read Save the Cat or something, where the protagonist has to stop and think about the nature of what he's doing and come to grips with his own flaws in order to overcome the final challenge. So the final challenge is going to be, stopping the thieves. So he literally goes to church in that. Now we wouldn't have that in 2022. I was just thinking about this. You wouldn't have a child go into a Catholic church and listen to a choir and have characters talk about church. And his neighbor comes over and he goes, I'm really here to watch my granddaughter because I'm not welcome. You're not welcome in church? Everyone's welcome in church. Imagine writing that dialogue in 2022. That would never get out the door. It's like, you can't tell people that people are welcome in church. You can't have all these shots at church. Church is bad. But they had a more wholesome mentality in the 1990s. In 1990 was when the movie came out. So, he literally goes to church to think about, to think about things, like to think about the bad things he did and how he wishes he could fix it, and has a moment with his neighbor, and then they both kind of decide to resolve their problems by repairing their relationships and not being stubborn about their relationships. Then, of course, you have the final battle, and then Mom and the rest of the family shows up. And I'm pretty sure John Candy like wrote his own dialogue in that movie. I think he did. I think he wrote his own dialogue. So he had some things like, oh yeah, I left my kid in a funeral parlor all day with the corpse. But he got over it. We fix it. After a couple weeks, and he started talking again. It's really funny stuff. Where is it? Here it is. Final Fantasy VII. Let's see if I'm getting any sound here. There it is. I love that startup sound. Takes me back. Takes me back. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good classic movie. It's a good, fairly wholesome kids movie. It has a good message, and it's a good example of the end of Gen Y. It's like people still went to church. People still had intact families in 1990, and this was normal. If you're to make it in 2022, it's like, why would there be a mom and a dad? No, we didn't make this about a single mom forgetting her kids. That's who would actually forget her kid, probably. But she'd forget her kid in order to go out and party or something. That'd be like the single mom version of Home Alone. Awful. Awful thought. There's a funny joke in there where it's like, let me send you over to the family crisis thing. And she goes, Harry, line 1. He goes, Detective Balzac here. Get it? You guys get it, right? Game's a little loud. Okay, I'll turn it down a bit. Let's see, where were we? Probably this one. All right. I'm trying to remember what the heck I was doing here. Oh, I came out here to save because I think there's a little... Is there a... I think we have a little trial here. Did we already do the trial? Well, I already saved, so... I think we did. Yes, we did. Right. He meets his dad's ghost or something. That's right. Sorry, it's been a while since I played it. I really should play it more often. Or like have a second stream where I just play this. Go this way? I'm trying to remember where we go. I don't think we can learn any of these, so we'll just do... We'll see if it can learn. I don't think it does. Use it on the other guys. Let's use Death Blow. Death Blow is cool. I'm trying to target these things. There we go. Where is it? did all this, I'd like to go walk through real quick so we can. I'm going to Nibelheim. Yeah, I thought it's in the middle here somewhere. All right, let's see if we can find it. So. What? This was all supposed to be burnt down, right? I thought so. Then why? My house is still there too. Something strange? I'm not lying. I remember the intense heat of the flames. Just finished the last Wheel of Time book last night. Absolutely loved it. Sanderson did a great job. There were tons of long-awaited payoffs, but less resolution than I expected. Yeah. That's, like, I think the ending's strong. It's just some of those middle books are just rough, you know? We'll stay at the end. I'm drinking HEB. This is HEB Zero Original Cola. Stuff's cheap and it's pretty good. Talk about inflation. One of the things I've noticed is like soda has gotten way expensive. This town was supposed to have been burned down 5 years ago. What the hell is going on? Sir, don't say such awful things. I was born and raised in this town. What you say never happened. You're lying. Excuse me, that's so rude. If you're going to talk like that to me, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Alright, let me see if there's any loot. You got any loot hiding here, bud? I'll go upstairs. Give me the loot. Definitely on the newer versions of this, you can tell when things can be interacted with because they like stand off the background a lot more than in this version. In this version of the game, it's harder to see stuff that you can actually click on. All right, let's see what we got here. Go to the next one. Get my sodas 2 liters at work and keep it in our shop's back fridge. It's cheaper than getting the handheld bottles. It is. It just goes flat quicker. Oh, bye. Nice town, huh? We've been in business here for a long time. You're lying. Do you have anything to do with this town? How about being born and raised here? I was here until I was 14 and I don't remember you. It's not nice to lie. Man in a black cape. He has a tattoo of the number 12. He has something. Received elixir. Can you hear the voice of Sephiroth? Alright. Could do a better voice that way. Can you hear the voice of Sephiroth? Yeah, soda has like doubled or tripled in price. Crazy. I was also in a CVS the other day and like all the shelves were empty. It was really weird. Want to hear your story? I lived in this house until I was 14. No, but this town was burned down. Are you sick saying those things? Get out of here. His wife could release an editor's special edition cutting down books 8 to 11. I think she's the reason they were so long. She was his editor. There was also an increasingly explicit Christ metaphor, but from Sanderson's interviews, I think that was Jordan's theming. Must get it and bring to Sephiroth. Then become one with Sephiroth. This guy's number 5. He has a tattoo of the number 11. Must go. Reunion. Are these guys in the little black cassocks? Tattoo number 4. Where are you, great Sephiroth? Might already have it. Grand Glove. Platinum Fist. Double Growth. It's pretty good, but... Final Fantasy Remake overplays the Sephiroth angle from the get-go, from what I see vids. Yeah, it's because he's like the final boss of the game. It's like this vision of Sephiroth, so they kind of have to create him as some kind of bad towards the end of the game. I actually think it's proper that they did that, considering they wanted him as like the end boss, you know. But I definitely remember playing the piano then. But why didn't it get burned down? Now, how did this go? I remember looking in like Tifa's underwear drawer or something here too. I don't remember. What do you think of book covers with ornate borders? I think they're fine. Do you think they can help increase sales? I don't know. Do you know how to make them? Yes, you can make them in Photoshop, and there's a couple different ways to make them from scratch. But you can also, and this is actually what I recommend, you can also just get them as an asset, either free or as part of a stock photo. So stock photo websites will have the borders. It's going to be way less effort to just grab one and put it on than it is to make a border from scratch. Unless you have something in mind like that's very unique that you just really want to use and you know how to do that, I would just get the stock photo asset and just do it that way. You know? I don't know if AI can make borders like that yet, but there's definitely, you can get stock photo assets of it. Reunion. Yan. These little guys. Received luck source. That increases luck. Oops. I forgot to say it last time, but thanks for your advice on the last New Pub Talk. I didn't even think about how to deal with admin. Okay, yeah, I meant to actually make a video on this, like how to survive, because I felt like I was too snarky with the answer to you. And I apologize for that. I get that way sometimes. But in all seriousness, ooh, he's calling. Sephiroth is calling. So if you are a teacher, you definitely want to be on admin side. You want admin to be on your side. They'll help you out a lot. Most teachers have this hostile view because they get sucked into the union, and then they just start to think of admin. Admin are all former teachers. They're all teachers. They know the profession, and they know what people want to see for results. So it's better to just be on their side with things. It'll go a lot easier. There's other things I would add into that, but that's a big one. It's like you really want to be proactive with talking to admin about any problems. I have a problem with this kid. Like if you have a problem with a kid, email your principal or your vice principal, whoever's in charge of that discipline. Like, I'm having this problem with this kid. Can you give me any strategies to help me, stop the disruptions and things like that? And believe it or not, admin will be super happy to proactively help with that. The great Sephiroth is near. Inside the mansion, the great Sephiroth. Like, admin will remember that, and they will go out of their way to help you, because they want classrooms to be orderly places of learning. Truly, they do want that. Despite all the bad things I say about schools and things like that, classroom management is critical. What you'd never want to have happen is your administrators show up and they're blindsided by the fact that you can't control the classroom. You never want that. That's going to be bad for you. You're not going to get your contract renewed if you're doing that. I must get rid of all those that stand in the way of my research, even that one from the Turks. I scientifically altered him and put him to sleep in the basement. If you want to find him, then search the area. But this is merely a game I thought of. It is not necessary for you to participate if you don't want to. There seems to be another letter. Move the dial on the safe carefully, but quickly. You have 20 seconds. You cannot go past the numbers while turning. The 4 hints for the numbers are... Why do you like tragedies? You invest 8 hours in a story just to feel bad at the end. Because tragedy reveals things about the human condition, which are important. That's why. You should read my new tragedy. It's called Al Shafalva, and it's out now. And this one, it definitely reveals things about the human condition. The Bible's full of tragedy. Why read that? When republishing public domain books, do you think it would be a good idea to have identical borders on every book to make them instantly recognizable as being from your brand or imprint? I bet it doesn't matter, but you can. To have that Penguin Classics look. Penguin Classics always have the black bottom and then a piece of classic art. So you can do something like that. That might not be a bad idea if you're publishing public domain works, making paperbacks of them. Just something I've considered doing, but I've just never done it. I don't know why. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that as a project, just to kind of show people how to do that, and then people can find books that they like, that they have, access to in the public domain, and maybe, maybe reprint them. I have some old books. Maybe I could probably scan them in with Adobe and then do them that way. I don't know. So yeah, you can do that. It doesn't matter, because most people, when they're looking for public domain work, they're looking for that work specifically. They want to read Moby Dick, right? That's what they want. They don't really care that it's from your publisher. They just want Moby Dick. So I bet it doesn't really matter that much. Probably matters more to store shopkeepers or something. All right. The lid of the box with the most oxygen. It's number 1, most oxygen. So the first one, behind the ivories, short of T and Ray. Okay. When selling public domain books on Amazon, you only get 35% of the profits. Also for ebooks, you have to include new illustrations or annotations, although you don't for physical. Interesting. I think it's to just cut down on what we're talking about, which is being schlocky and selling books that people can read for free on the internet. It's just kind of I don't know what the word is. It's a little cheap. The creak in the floor near the chair on the 2nd floor. Then to the left 5 steps, up 9 steps, left 2 steps, and up 6 steps. Oh my gosh. Should take a picture of that. Boom. That's a hard one. All right. Oh, there's monsters in here. Daily Wire just announced they've acquired the motion picture TV rights to Atlas Shrugged. Weren't they already making an Atlas Shrugged series of movies? I seem to remember that. Is this guy like hard to hit or something? I don't know. He's a very creative enemy, though, I gotta say. Also, the rights to the DJ Michaels Pendragon series. The problem with Atlas Shrugged adaptations, it's like Atlas Shrugged is very much about the ideas. It's like doing an adaptation of like the Brothers Karamazov or something. There's these long passages of philosophizing, which is why a lot of people read the books. So how do you convert that? Like, you just kind of have to, I don't know, strip out a lot of those speeches, which is why a lot of people read the book. Do you think it would be worth it to just publish physical public domain books on Amazon with no ebooks? Yes. Yes. In fact, that's the only thing I would probably do, I guess for ethical reasons. Like, why would I publish an ebook of something people can literally get for free on the internet? She hit herself in the face. Good job, Tifa. In 7 days was a few days ago. After Final Fantasy VII, do you think you'll be up to play Mass Effect next? I've played through the trilogy. I don't know. I think the first game is the only really good game of the trilogy. And the other two just kind of coast on the quality of that first game in terms of story and gameplay. They really ruined the gameplay with the second game. And the second game doesn't really have a very good story, really at all. It's mostly just character interactions. Something's written on the floor. 2, left 10. All right, so we gotta go something 10. I'm gonna write it down. Let's open up a document. F10. That way I don't forget this one. Yammering. The fact that we feel regret or shame about our actions and behaviors would suggest that we do have free will, or at least sincerely believe we do. That could be a feedback loop, according to the materialist, right? Which is you feel shame because, it's you recognize that it's suboptimal somehow, right? That like shame serves a purpose, and it's just a chemical thing that'll change incidental behavior in the future, maybe. Or it just doesn't have any meaning. It's just an incidental thing that evolved. Ouch. Had to hit Cloud. Oh, it didn't even break him out. Can we run away? It's gonna really suck if, like, Cloud kills my whole party. Did you know that Mid Journey can create logos? I haven't tried that. I didn't know that. Some of them look amazing. I generated one a few days ago and I'm refining it further with some manual tweaks. Yeah, I haven't tried that. I'll have to take a look at some prompts to do that, see kind of what we can get into with that. And there's a chest here, so go check it out. Received Twin Viper. Oh, Fairy Tale. Put that on. Look at all those slots. It's like no joke here. And Gravity and Seal and Sense. Put all the materia in there. You've played the Persona series, yes. Persona 4. More than any of the others. I have Persona 5, but again, you know, it just takes a while to play through a game like that, so I tend to not do it unless I have a lot of extra time. Like, I would be down to play Mass Effect on stream. See if I can remember, like, all the stuff. Played on Absolute Nightmare mode. Because I think that's really fun. Make sure I have, like, my save games unlocked, because the original one, you couldn't play Nightmare right from the get-go. You had to beat the game before you could play in the next hardest difficulty. But if you beat the game as Soldier on your first playthrough, then you can use assault rifles on like, Nightmare mode. That's really, like, overpowered, where you can have basically a caster with assault rifles. It's really good. What's going on with this guy hanging on the rope? There we go. Alright, there's the chest. Silver M phone. I think that's for Catchy. I need to be using magic here, actually. Funny breath. So kill some things before we start getting confusion. Or like put on a relic that stops confusion. Let's see here. Let's do Bio 2. See if that did anything. Ah, kills him. Bolt 2. We didn't kill him. I like Persona 4. I think it was fun. A lot of fun. Likeable characters, fun story, good gameplay, fun music. I got a little bit bored with the music towards the end, but it wasn't too bad. What did that clue say? Where it was? Hold on. So I took a picture of it. Creak on the floor near the chair on the second floor. And then to the left. Alright, we'll just look around. Don't open. Received enemy launcher. Something is written on the back of the lid. Right 36. gotta find the chair. I don't think that's the chair. Yeah, I think I would only publish public domain works as paperback so people could have a good-looking and new physical copy. You know? Curses! Curses! Everybody's silenced. Miss. Miss. Oh, I should manipulate these guys. That's actually a good idea. I think I can learn some of their skills here. Alright, manipulated it. Item. Potion. Let's see here. Cutter, curses, funny breath. Yeah, he would have learned it by now, I think. What about both paperback and hardcover? Do you think that'd be worth it? Yeah. Yeah, make a hardback. Maybe I'll do that. That might be a fun little project for like the channel. Is like, let's take a public domain book. In fact, I'll find one that's like really out of print, like from the 19th century in my collection. And I'll scan it, and then we'll start with a physical copy from the 19th century, and we'll turn it into a brand new hardback with like new cover art and everything. That might be a really fun project. I'll come up with a couple videos for that because I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be educational. It might make me money to just do the book, and then of course people can then learn some skills for their own books, or maybe for, you know, if they want to do the same thing. It wouldn't be that hard. And I forgot that Amazon does hardcovers now. Most of my books are short, so I don't bother with the hardcover. I only have a couple hardcover books in my own catalog. It's not that harder to do a hardback, right? It's just the interior formatting is exactly the same. The only difference is the exterior formatting has more empty space around the edges. So you just got to fill that in with black. It's actually not hard to do. I can absolutely do a video on how to do that. Or we could do a live stream on it later. That might be good too. We could do like a whole live stream. It would take forever to scan in the physical book I'm thinking of, but we could do it. Received magic source. You think you could try demonstrating how to make covers with ornate borders as well? Yeah, like I said, I would just get the border from a stock photo website. So that's not hard. You just put a border on it. It just depends like what design you want to go for. Like if you want to go for a specifically 19th century looking design, you wouldn't have a graphic at all. Fire doesn't do much to him, does it? Neither does that. Oops. He fell down. Kick him while he's down. These guys take a long time to kill. Death blow. Yeah, I'll check something real quick here on Adobe Stock. Since I still have an Adobe Stock description for some reason. Not doing quite enough cover designs really to justify that, but anyway, I still have one. It's cheap. Let's see here. No. Where were we? Stock. Look over here. We'll just search book border. Yeah. You can find like completed designs too. Check this out. And let me show you real quick. You know, so look, you've already got like, you can just get this design. You can just get a complete design already done and just print that on a hardcover or something. And it would just be printed on. So you could do this, just put the book title on top of it, something like this. With these frames, you can get just a bunch of frames here and put these around your design. You could do just a color with a frame, really easy. Or you could do like a full design. This has like all the assets you would use. You can just stretch these to fill whatever size you want. And yeah, this is what I would do. Is I would just get one off of here, rather than trying to design stuff. You know, make it quick. Yeah, just grab one of these. So yeah, there's a lot of these right here, calligraphic frames, and then you can just cut whichever one you want. Vector or JPEG, whatever you want to do. Boom. That makes sense. What do you think of the cover for Around the World in 80 Days? I'd have to look it up. Around the World in 80 Days. Excel. See your edition. Let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm seeing a bunch of things that aren't that, so I mean, it looks okay. It's a really super simple cover design, not particularly special. Bad font choice in my opinion, but I like really legible fonts, not these kind of weird fonts. I'm a simple font kind of guy. Let me show you. what it looks like. That's what it looks like. So, you know. I mean, it's not terrible. You know, this is public domain art. This is like a free font, bad drop shadow, just some random wallpaper texture, and like some little, like a little frame around it. It's all really simple. You could even do the frame just in Photoshop as a object effect. This frame, you can just add multiple different. This is just a bevel around the outside edge. You know, you can do all this in Photoshop really easy. Jules Verne. Let's take a look at the interior formatting, because it's fine. You know, we have an... Yeah, all this stuff is free. You know, I have these are some drop caps you can get for free. Yeah, you can do all this for free. It's good. The interior formatting's really good. I just don't love the like cover font, but it looks fine. You know, nobody who's looking for Jules Verne's going to care about that. You know. Yeah, this is fine. Not hard to do. Not hard to do. I could show how to do that. I'll find like a more obscure book to put into print that maybe I can't find on Amazon from like my collection. S Crew JP. All my homies hate JPG. PNG is the image format for me. I want to use Scandinavian death metal bands font for my book covers. Good choice, right? Maybe not the best choice. Let me hold on. Let me. I gotta do this whole thing again because it took too long. Here we go. All right. It's like unreadable metal bands. There's supposed to be a chair, and then we have to go what? 5 steps to the left and 9 steps up, or something. Left 5 steps, up 9 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does that do it? Probably not. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Anything here? Let's try again. I'll fight some monsters first. You said bad drop shadow. What do you mean by that? Also, you think the cover would look better with a more ornate border? Like, no, it looks fine. I just don't like the text effects on it. They're not for me. It's a really sharp drop shadow, which it looks like 90s. It just looks very 90s to me. Looks like something you make in the 90s with like Print Shop Deluxe. That's all. There we go. Both hits. So not the best choice to use the metals. Instead of 1 pixel brush in black, scribble for a while, then scribble in white over that. Yeah, I think the cover design's fine. I just don't love the font and the really sharp drop shadow. Anyway, these guys are just immune to physical attack, so. See what that does. Well, it did something. Gareth is running out of magic. I don't think I can use a tint in here either. Turbo either. Am I doing this right? 5 steps, up 9 steps, left 2 steps, and up 6 steps. Okay, I'm not doing the whole sequence here. That's the problem. I'm doing this. Takes so long to kill those guys. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we're gonna go left 2 steps. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Well, I don't think that worked. There it is. Something's written on the floor. Right, 59. There we go. Just have to look around a little bit. They're playing fast and loose with the steps. 36, 10, 59. There's our safe combo. All right. Let's go unlock the safe. So our first one is right 36. 36, and then we're gonna go left. Oh, I'm gonna run out of time here. Left 10. Fail. All right, we'll try again. 36. 10. And then, what was the third one? 59. Oh, I think I have to press. I think I have to press circle between each one. All right. 36. Oh. $10. 59. Right. Okay, that didn't work. Okay. Right 36, left 10. Right 59. Am I not doing this right? And we got to go all the way past 0 to 10. Here. We have to go all the way past 0 to get to the left 10. It's going to be really hard. I think I have a guide here, though. Through here. Where's the safe? I'm gonna look up the safe because it should open. Like it should have opened. Anyway, I'm gonna look it up real quick. You can't go past the number. I didn't. I did it correctly the first, like not the first time, but one of those times. Oh, there's a fourth one. Apparently there's a fourth combo that I missed somehow. All right, I'll have to find it somewhere. I'll make a save state real quick. Oh. Overwrite the state. If I send you a Discord DM of my logo tonight, do you think you could give me thoughts on any further tweaks I need to make and what good font to use for the next portion to be? I mean, I can, but no guarantee I'll see it because I've got a lot of stuff going on today. $36. Oh. All right, try again. $36. 10. 59. It's really easy to go one too far. $36. There we go. Ah. It wants to go to 37. Oh, perfect. 59. Let me do it. All the way to 97. There we go. Success. I think we fight a boss here, right? Oh, there he is. Good for 1,000. That's nice. No, that's res cloud there. I have a summon. Oh, I do have one. Anger of the land. We have to use him either. Alright, pin this down on our boy there. Summon Efreet. Why not? Let's see what he does. There he goes. He didn't do much. Big waste of mana there. Lost number, level 35. Alright. Yeah, Death Blow just hits harder. And it seems to actually hit. Oh, he's going into phase 2. Ouch. Poor Cloud, man, he just keeps getting killed. Magic can hit this guy. Oh, it hits. It definitely hits him. I think he goes into like a physical immune phase. Ah. I wonder if we can mini this guy. That'd be interesting. Let's pull up that save state. Now, let's see. I might go safety in. So I can't use a tint here, so. Let's go stay at the end and like recharge our crap. Yeah, Cloud's getting no breaks. And apparently you can kill him with poison only and he'll never change forms. So that's cool. I'm gonna beat this boss and then I think we're gonna be pretty close to being done here. I think there's a little cutscene here with Sephiroth after this. If I remember right. What are you guys doing? Noisy kids? Let's go up here. We'll dial in the safe again. Much of a pain as that was. I might like save a state. There we go. Save the state. Overwrite. Now everybody's at max health. Should be a little bit easier with like magic to kill a guy. Ideally, we take him below the damage threshold with magic, and then we can kill him with physical attacks. 36. And you have to watch me fail at the safe minigame again. 30. And 97. There we go. Create a save state. 2, 4, 5. Oops. I forget that the confirm button changes. If I do like all magic attacks, then his final phase is just physical. He's a lot easier. Poison. Yeah, we should have plenty of MP for this. There we go. Now he's in physical form. There we go. We got him. This is a better strat. Cosmo Memory. And the Odin Materia. Alright. Now I think we have one little scene here with Sephiroth. In your opinion, does using pre-made borders make designing covers easier or harder than the covers you've made so far? I don't really use them in most of my designs, so it's not an either or, but, I mean, makes it easier. Yeah. It's like you could... I've used pre-made vignette overlays and stuff too. So that works. And, yeah. You want to do things easy. So if you don't have to make it yourself, then it's good. And, like, no one's really going to care that, like, hey, I think I've seen that border before. It's just like a, you know, it's a border. I think we go to the basement. That's where we go now. Where's the basement? Hey, how do I get to the basement? I don't remember now. Sephiroth's in the library. Where's the library? How do I get to the library? I don't remember now. What's the matter, dog? What's wrong? Funny breath. Get to linking some books here. Where's the tragedy that I had? How should I call that? I'm not sure what my dogs are barking at. Library in here. I don't remember how to get down to the library. In here. Yeah, I don't know why they're so upset. Funny breath. It's like run away from those guys. Not like forgetting where the library is, maybe. Definitely. My cat's talking. Wow. Yeah, did I miss something? Curses! Yeah, I don't know what they're barking at. They're going crazy. I think my wife might have taken the kids somewhere. It's a very rainy day, too. Who knows? It could have been some thunder. Oh, that's right. It's in here. And we gotta go down the stairs. I'll make a save state real quick. Odin. Here we go. Guy has some long animations. The doggos want to see the next cutscene. Yeah, Vincent's in the basement here somewhere too. This guy is very slow. He's gross, two gross dickheads. Let's try some fire on this guy. You played the Vincent game Dirge of Cerberus. I don't think I did, no. I have, is that what it is? What is it? The one for the PSP. I think they're remaking it. This guy's taking forever. Is this guy a boss? He might be a boss. Yang's happy. Yang's excited. Oh, he's a boss. I'm like, man, this guy's taking forever. He's a good kid. Ah! Crisis Core, that's it. That's it. Crisis Core, thank you. Thank you. There he goes. Oh, he was easy. You cure him? Yeah, there you go. It probably would have killed him. Should think about that. Alright, I think Vincent's in one of these doors. I don't remember which one. Blood set. That might be a good one to learn. Oh, I have to go back to the safe. You got to get a key from the safe. Okay, I looked it up. Shoot. All right, back up the stairs we go. I've heard some people have had trouble proving to Amazon that the book they published is in the public domain. Apparently, Amazon is picky about what counts as documentation of public domain status. I haven't really heard that, but like, you know, I don't know. I don't spend a lot of my time like republishing public domain works, though, right? Like, it's not a thing I normally do. Apparently you have to look in the safe to get the basement key. So that's what we're going to do. I mean, a copyright page from like 1890 should be enough. See, there it is. Received key item, key to basement. Okay. Sorry about the dogs barking. I'm gonna put you guys out in the rain. Then I respond to threats. Manipulated the black bat. Blood suck on yourself. Suck yourself, bat. What's the problem, Pops? You need to go outside, or you need to come in here? What's the problem? What's the problem, puppy? What's the deal? From what I've read, people that run into trouble publishing something like Dracula, sometimes it's harder to prove public domain status to something newer. Well, the one I'm thinking of is like from like 1890, so it probably wouldn't be a big deal, but I mean, as long as you have a copyright status that's pre, like, 1920 or whatever, it should be fine. What's the problem? Why are you barking? You never bark. You got a vampire fang. There we go. Coffin. Ah, yin yang guy again. Hey! Come on, don't be crawling around on that stuff. Here, go on. Here, go on, Hobo. Go get Honey Bun. Go get her. Go get Honey Bun. Or go lay down, either one. Go. Are there any rules to republishing public domain works? No. Yes, you can add anything to it. And if it's in the public domain, you can do derivative works, you can publish it as is, you can do anything to it. It's completely open. There's no rules. Yang's happy. Yeah, you can do anything to it. In fact, I think that's an easy way to add value is just, if you're an illustrator, you could just get a book and do illustrations for it. Harris is hitting hard. The little undead guy is gonna die. There he is. Yeah, it's completely open. You can do whatever you want. Okay. To wake me from the nightmare. Who is it? Never seen you before. You must leave. You were having a nightmare. You'll dream about bad things if you sleep in a place like this. A nightmare? My long sleep has given me time to atone. What are you saying? I have nothing to say to strangers. Get out. This mansion is the beginning of your nightmare. You can say that again. What do you want to know? Like you said, this mansion is the beginning of a nightmare. No, it's not a dream, it's for real. Sephiroth has lost his mind. He found the secrets hidden in this mansion. Sephiroth? You know Sephiroth? You start first. Blue screen tells you just So Sephiroth knows he was created 5 years ago and about the Genova project. He was missing, but has just recently reappeared. He has taken many lives and is seeking the Promised Land. Now it's your turn. Sorry, I cannot speak. That's dirty. Hearing your stories is added upon me. Yet another sin. More nightmares shall come to me now, more than I previously had. Now please leave. I think we get him on the way out. There we go. It's about time to hang it up. We'll just do this one. Sephiroth! Being here brings back memories. Are you going to participate in the reunion? I don't even know what a reunion is. Genova will be at the reunion. Genova will join the reunion, becoming a calamity from the skies. Genova, a calamity from the skies? You mean she wasn't an ancient? I see. You don't think you have the right to participate. I will go north past Mount Nibble. If you wish to find out, then follow. Reunion? Calamity from the skies? This should be really cool in the remake. Destruct materia. What does that do? I don't know, but let's equip it. Destruct. Escape report number 4. Other B's whereabouts is currently unknown, but we submit there's no need to pursue him due to his diminishing consciousness. Awaiting further instructions. Description of the time of capture. A former member of Soldier. Number. No effect could be detected from either Mako radiation therapy or Genova on him. X month, X day. The two escapees were located near Midgar. Concerning their disposal. A. Shot for resisting. B. Escaped during A's resistance. Regular number blank. So the Cloud is the regular one, and I think what's his name is the soldier, right? Zach. Wait, can I get past this? Wait. Oh, that's number 4. What are your thoughts on Brothers Hildebrandt? Never seen it. They're illustrators, right? Like they do movie posters? They do good stuff, right? Yeah. I'm not a scholar on like every illustrator. I think they did one of the Star Wars covers. I don't remember. Good, guys. We'll save the game. And that'll be it for today. Oh, wait, I forgot to pick up what's-his-face. You go back in the room and then you can get him, I think. I don't know why my dogs are freaking out so much. They mostly did book art. I think here's one they did of, like, Gandalf and Frodo. A lot of good stuff. Did some D&D covers. Looks good. Looks like really good stuff. I wonder if they're still working. Back in here, get the dude, and we'll save it for next time. Oh, good night. No. You're still here. Who are you? At least tell us your name. I was with the Shinra Manufacturing Department in Administrative Research, otherwise known as the Turks. We'll stick with Vincent. Vincent. The Turks. Formerly of the Turks. I have no affiliation with Shinra now. And you? Cloud, formerly of Soldier. You were also with Shinra. Then do you know Lucretia? Who? Lucretia. The woman who gave birth to Sephiroth. Gave birth? Wasn't Genova Sephiroth's mother? That isn't completely wrong, but just a theory. He was born from a beautiful lady. That lady was Lucretia. She was an assistant to Professor Gast of the Genova Project. Beautiful Lucretia. A human experiment. There was no way to cancel the experiment. I couldn't stop her. That was my sin. I let the one I loved, the one I respected most, face the worst. So your punishment was to sleep? That's kind of weird. Let me sleep. Let me sleep. Can I bug him enough? I guess not. More bats! More bats! Man, Aerith is hitting hard. Right. I think maybe he joins you on the way out. This guy again. Yeah, his animations take so long. Alright, go on, Pop. Come on. Come on. You staying or going? You gotta make up your mind, Pops. Make up your mind. When is it, bud? You need to go out? You need to go outside? Oh, I did the limit break too soon. I'm split. Yang's happy. These long animations. Goodness. Wait. If I go with you, will I meet Hojo? Dunno, but we're after him in Sephiroth, so I guess sooner or later. Lucretia! Alright, I've decided to go with you. Sure is a quick change of heart, huh? Being a former Turks, I may be of help to you. Alright then. I can change my party around. Well, he's already like level 29. Go. See what he's got on. Quicksilver. Silver armlet. Alright. Get out here and save. Oh, he's got like a gun. Yeah, I think I need to actually end the stream. We've been going on too long. And that'll be it. I'll relink the books. Let me deal with this combat. Let's see, figure out what's going on with the dogs. I want one dog. Yeah. Grab the newest book, Afterglow. People are liking that one so far. Alright, I'm just going to do a save state because I've gone on here so long. Alright guys, I appreciate everybody hanging out with me for today. I have some more stuff coming here in the next couple days, some more analysis stuff, so that should be fun. And yep, don't forget to buy the newest books, and I'll see you guys next time. So I'm off to the next bit of work for the day. I'll try to look at Discord, Hardwick, so, and give you any feedback that's relevant. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, and I might do a video on, like, let's take a public domain work and then publish it, make it look really good with like a good interior and a good cover and all that kind of stuff, and see, you know, I mean, the question for me is, like, you have to take a couple hours to do that. Are you going to make money on those hours? If the answer is yes, then, like, yeah, it's totally worth it just to do it. So anyway, guys, I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. News books, Afterglow, Generation Y, which most of you have actually heard for this already. So feel free to drop a review on Amazon because you actually read the book already, listen to the audiobook, which counts. And I'll ship all the fantasy novels. So check that out, and I'll see you guys next time.